He is the attorney for Jordan Jefferson, Louis Ungelsby, who was with us on Friday. Attorney Ungelsby, thank you again for the time today. How are you, sir?
Fine.
I understand that you were supposed to speak to Les Miles today, asking him to consider lifting Jordan Jefferson's suspension. Did you have that conversation with Coach Miles?
No, and I never was going to get to talk to Les Miles. What I've been told by LSU is I have to go through the athletic department with written information, so that's what we've done.
What written information do you have that would be beneficial to Jordan Jefferson?
Well, we have a lot of witness statements. We have the law. We have the information that the police have provided to us. We have we know what happened in terms of the injury to the victim that Jordan was involved with, allegedly involved with, in terms of his claim, and that he had a injury to his face. And we know, things that have clarity. There's two different events, and in the first event, I think there's a pretty significant, perhaps, injury that one of the young men suffers, but that has nothing to do with Jordan, even, under the claims. And it wasn't clear. I don't know if it's been clear to anybody up to now on some of these, on the process in which these events occurred.
That first event, sir, is that the allegation that there was a man who was pulled out of a truck and attacked? Is that the first event that you're speaking of?
Right.
And so even in the police report and everything that we know at this point, Jordan Jefferson was not involved in that event.
Not accused of that at all, no.
So then what is the second event that you're talking about?
Well, the second event, according to the police, is that this fellow that comes out of the bar after he's been evicted from the bar engages in that confrontation that you described. So, and somehow in the course of that, Jordan Jefferson and he come into contact with each other.
Is there video evidence of Jordan Jefferson fighting Andrew Lowry?
Not that I've ever seen, no.
So the video that surfaced on the internet last week of the alleged bar fight, which is really just a lot of dark figures and it's grainy, shaky video, have you been able to determine if the police or either side have determined anything conclusive from that video?
Well, of course, I can't say about the police, okay? I know that I can't, and I haven't heard anyone that claims to be able to.
Louis Ungelsby is joining us, the attorney for Jordan Jefferson. Mr. Ungelsby, we also, just moments ago, read a quote from Michael Bienvenu, the attorney representing Andrew Lowry, the young man you referenced, and he said very plainly that this wasn't a fight, it was an attack. Why are the two stories so very different involving this incident?
Well, I'm not, I don't know what happened to Andrew Lowry that Mr. Bienvenu is talking about. Jordan didn't do it. So I don't know if he wants to say that Andrew Lowry got attacked. Maybe he did. We don't know that. Mm-hmm. He didn't get attacked by us, by my client.
You're also quoted in the Times-Picayune as saying that some of the Baton Rouge Police Department's actions are, quote, pure laziness or fear of the evidence. Can you elaborate a little bit on that as far as how the police have handled this situation?
Well, first of all, I think Mr. Bienvenu, I know myself, I think Nathan Fisher, have found lots of witnesses. And if you just review what those witnesses say, then what becomes obvious is there are multiple different views and stories as to what happened out there. Mm-hmm. And a lot of confusion and a lot of conflicting ideas as to who did what. But what comes clear to anyone that's focused is that Jordan Jefferson is not the protagonist or the antagonist in any of these things.
So
and that the injury that Mr. Lowry suffered, while I'm sure quite unpleasant for him and painful, doesn't rise to the level under the law of second-degree battery. Now, those are decisions the police made. Lawyers didn't make those decisions. They made that decision. And I'm hoping that as they get more evidence, if they look at the evidence, they'll realize that they need to reconsider that charge and perhaps reconsider who they decided to charge.
Louis Ungelsby is with us, the attorney for Jordan Jefferson. Mr. Ungelsby, have you ever in the past represented a person alleged to have been involved or the aggressor in a bar fight?
Yeah, but usually it was involved a killing.
I think that's kind of where I'm going, because I don't have a dog in this fight per se, but I just find it hard to believe that we're going on 2 weeks now and the allegations involving a bar fight are still not clear, and there's so much being made of this. Am I missing something in this entire story?
Jordan Jefferson, LSU quarterback. Otherwise, what would have happened is you had a bunch of other college students who got in a bar fight. They'd all gotten misdemeanor summons, if anything. If the police even engaged in investigating, they'd have gotten misdemeanor summons. If there is a young man, as Mr. Bienvenu tells me, who really was hurt, the fellow in the truck, that had nothing to do with Jordan Jefferson. If he really was hurt in this confrontation, there'd probably be a civil lawsuit about it, and it may should be. But we wouldn't be doing DNA and search warrants and taking people's shoes and having the police give press conferences. No. If that were true, you'd be having one every day around here.
I think that's probably the disconnect that most people in Baton Rouge are failing to gather right now. Louis Ungelsby is with us. He's the attorney representing Jordan Jefferson. So, sir, as it pertains to Jordan Jefferson playing football again at LSU, is it your hope that he'll be reinstated immediately or after some point of missing time throughout this process?
My job is to make sure that the athletic department and Coach Miles understand how the facts of this case are, and that this is not a felony. I don't know why Jordan Jefferson was suspended, so I can't comment on whether that's an appropriate punishment. If the reason he was suspended, if the reason he is suspended, is because of this arrest and because he was charged with a felony, that I can clear up, and that I hope can dissuade punishment that's very disproportionate to what he actually did, which would break his curfew.
Do you have any idea when you might have some type of court with members of the LSU administration where they can hear you out on this case?
I don't know that I'll ever get to be heard out on this case. I'm asking for that. I'm making that request as clearly as I can to LSU, and I'm providing them and cooperating with them every way that I can. Now, that's up to them. I know that Les Miles is a fair guy, and I'm sure that if he's given an opportunity to talk to my client and to look at what I have, I would expect he would take that. Jordan Jefferson is ready to meet with anyone under any terms, under any circumstances. He just wants to get back with his team.
I'm certain you've had conversations with Jordan. Can you just maybe elaborate a little bit on how he's been doing since his arrest on Friday throughout the course of this weekend?
Well, he's very discouraged because he had worked real hard for the last 3 years and worked real hard this summer to be out there Saturday night. He felt real good about the team. He feels real good about the team. He feels real good about his situation on the team, and he's extremely fond of his coaches. So it's like he's been divorced from his family. He's all of a sudden isolated, away from everything he's used to, and that's hard on him. And it's hard on him because he's so disappointed.
Can he have any contact with his teammates at this point or take part in any LSU activities? Do you know that?
I'm sure any citizen can have contact with anybody, so I'm sure he can have contact with his teammates. As to taking part in the activities, I think that's extremely limited or prevented largely.
Okay. Louis Ungelsby, the attorney representing Jordan Jefferson. Is there anything that I've left out at this point, what we haven't gotten to that we don't know?
Well, I think what we need to keep in front of our minds here is there's evidence developing constantly, and it is flowing in Jordan's direction. We know that there's a video from the bar that the police should have had of showing how Lowry, Jordan's victim, is acting in the bar, how he's interacting with the girl who gets a restraining order against him, how he's interacting with the bounce, how he's interacting with another fellow who he's already hit before he ever goes outside. We know what the bar is saying about why he was ejected and what they saw happen. We know that we have 3 witnesses who saw the whole thing and said that Jordan was not involved at any time in any way in this. There's a lot, and we know that the witnesses themselves are that did get involved with Lowry say he was throwing punches at people, not at Jordan, because Jordan wasn't anywhere near him. But the point of all that is you have explosive behavior, fast actions, late at night, bunch of people drinking, young people, differing stories as to who's seeing what, when, and how, and nobody able to distinguish not only the accuracy of what anybody says, but the capacity of those who are saying it to see what they said they saw and to recognize it and remember it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have a bunch of college students at 2:00 in the morning. What do you think they've been? Do you think they came from choir practice?
Yeah. It's certainly a story that continues to develop, as you mentioned. And Mr. Ungelsby, as you find out more, and if there's anything that you'd like to share, like our audience to know, I want you to know that you have an open forum here. So feel free to let us know anytime that you or your client would like to speak about this. You have an open invite.
Well, I appreciate that. And my concern is not the case. We could have this trial tomorrow and Jordan Jefferson would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the system doesn't provide for that. The courthouse doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the people, and there are a lot of people ahead of us in line that need their cases heard. Unfortunately, what's happening here is that the football calendar and the law calendar don't coordinate. And so Jordan Jefferson's punishment that he's suffering with this exile is much greater than any punishment the law will ever provide to him. I can tell you that without any doubt whatsoever.
Well, Mr. Ungelsby, again, as we continue on with this case, if there's anything you'd like to share, you do have the open invite. And best to you, sir, and we thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.